Hi, my name is AJ Ajani Murray, and I wanted to give a few moments. I wanted to talk about diversity and authentic casting. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. I am an actor, and I have, as you can see, I'm a wheelchair user. I have cerebral palsy, and at some point in the future, I'm gonna give a more detailed video my journey as an actor and how I became an actor in my dream and things like that. But I wanted to just spend a few moments to talk about diversity and authentic casting. Now, this is a little bit old, but I thought a good topic to talk about it was from the movie The Upside. Now, I really wanted to talk about this because, um, as some of you may know, or like if you follow movies out there, if you're into conversations about movies like I am, or some of you may not be, some of you may just be watching this video in general, but there's been a lot of conversation around diversity, and those conversations and actions have been warranted. It's been a long time coming, and those conversations have included women behind the camera producing. There's also been conversation about women being in executive positions. There's also been a lot of conversation as warranted when it comes to casting authentically for the LGBTQ community. And like I said, those conversations are warranted, and there are a lot of people a part of that community that are talented actors. And there has been discussion over the years, especially more and more in the mainstream, around authentic casting when it comes to disability. Now, getting back to the upside, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I know it's an older film. It came out last year. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because there was a lot of controversy around Bryan Cranston, a great American actor, being cast in the film as a man that's a quadriplegic, and Kevin Hart is in the film as well. And there was controversy because Bryan Cranston is an able-bodied actor playing a person with disability. Now, um, there there's been a lot of, like I said earlier, there's been a lot of discussion around this topic and a lot of controversy around this topic because not only is Bryan Cranston an able-bodied actor, but he has in the past considered himself an ally to our community as disabled actors, meaning he has spoken out before about disabled actors being casted in roles, and there was a lot of controversy before because he has come out and he has been an ally, but then he said in being casted in this role, there he was saying something to the effect that in this video, I'm not gonna directly quote, but he said something to the effect of, there hasn't been anybody as of late that's big enough that has a disability that could be casted in this role. Now, my opinion is, and this is my opinion, I'm a disabled actor and I have CP. We're not a monolith, so some of you may have a certain opinion that I don't have. But here's a couple of opinions that I have. First, it's my opinion that Bryan Cranston is a great American actor. Like, he is so talented. Like, he was great in Walking Dead. He was great in Malcolm in the Middle, and I saw him play. I saw him play LBJ, and that was a great movie in HBO. He did it on stage as well. He's a great actor, but in my opinion, Brian first of all, Kevin Hart is a big enough bankable star for Kevin Hart to be. He's big enough in his role. To me, in my opinion, he can draw millions and millions of dollars. He didn't necessarily need Bryan Cranston to be in this role as well, and you could have casted an authentic actor with a disability. I have lots of friends and colleagues and associates alike who have been to workshops. They have theater degrees. They've been in student films. I know lots of friends and associates and colleagues alike that are actors and that are working, and they have been trained very well. And the argument is not just to cast a person just because they have a disability, but there's so many actors with disabilities out there who, like I said, who've been to workshops, who've taken acting classes, and who have degrees in acting, not only for in front of the camera, but behind as well. So you have a lot of actors who just haven't had the chance yet. Now, I know that Mr. Cranston says that one of the reasons why he's in the role is because, and a lot of able-bodied actors are in roles because there hasn't been anybody yet who is big enough in the disability community that is bankable. Well, how is that ever going to happen if a person with a disability is never casted in a film? You know, sometimes I wish that, and I know that there are a lot of factors that I'm not going to get into about the box office and how hard it is to make a movie these days. And I know that is very well true. But I also, sometimes I want to harken back to like the 70s and the 80s. By that I mean, a lot of actors were brand new, coming out of the actor studio, or there were casting calls or catacalls. That very well could have been the case with The Upside, because to me, and this is just my opinion, Kevin Hart is a big enough bankable star where you didn't necessarily have to have Bryan Cranston as an able-bodied man play a quadriplegic, especially when he has already been or considers himself an ally to this community. Now, I also want to say, when I think about this topic, sometimes, and this may be a little controversial, I don't know, but I do think about it with two brains, because I'm disabled, but I'm also an actor too. And sometimes when I think about this issue, I think about it with an actor's brain. And just thinking about it with an actor's brain, I know that there are a lot of roles over the years that have been taken by able-bodied actors, men and women. And I can just imagine an able-bodied actor saying, like, playing people with disabilities could be very interesting. And I could really dive into a character that's a complete opposite of my experience. And I can inhabit this character. And so, from that standpoint, it's like if I think about it just with the actor side of my brain, yeah, I'm like, that's I could see how somebody can come to that conclusion because years ago, and I don't necessarily think this way now, especially with all the conversation around authentic diversity. Years ago, I would think to myself, I would love to play an LBGT person in a chair because and not trying to take it away from a person who's authentic in the community, but just the idea of getting into dive into a person's experience that's the complete opposite of mine and getting into dive into the issues that they inhabit and just the daily things that they have to deal with. And so I can understand from the actor's perspective and just from wanting to like enact their imagination, I can understand that perspective just from an actor's perspective. Now, I tend to lean on the side of of the actor with disability, not only because I'm an actor with a disability and I need to work, but it just makes sense. It just makes a lot of sense because, as I said earlier, there are plenty of actors who have raw talent, and there's plenty of actors that's been to school. There's actors you can do catcalls, so you can do all kind of things. Plus, there have been a couple roles. There have been filmed throughout the years, whether it's big screen or television, and we talked about so many times over the years. That's not authentic, or that's not the way you roll a that's not the way you roll a chair, or that's not the way a person would be transferred, or how come they don't show a person being transferred, or how come they don't show a person taking a sip of drink with a star, or how come we're not really sexualized on screen. And that is because a lot of times, over 95% of the time, there's no authentic casting. Without authentic casting, yes, you can tell a good story, but it's not going to be the most optimal truth. Now, as I also think about it, there have been a couple films over the years that, yes, they have been casted by able-bodied actors, but I really enjoyed the film. My number one film that features disability that I love, and there are more. Maybe I'll get to a bigger list later in another video. But I think about Forrest Gump. The reason why I like Forrest Gump is because I love Tom Hanks as an actor. And I also love how in Forrest Gump, it's just a great narrative story. And I just love how he's a man. He starts off as a young boy, but he grows into a man, and he just happens to come into these amazing surroundings, and he just deals with everyday regular life. Now, people around him, yes, they notice his mental impairment, but he's a regular dude who has an awesome, simple perspective on life. And one of the things that I was thinking about is I really enjoy, yes, there are times where his mental impairment is mentioned in the film, and they even mention the R word. But what I love about the film is, in my opinion, if you really think about it, they barely mention his intellectual disability. It's not really a huge narrative part of the story. Yes, he has an intellectual impairment, but it's not really a major part of the story. And yes, he was played by an able-bodied actor, Tom Hanks. But let's remember, this was 1995, and yes, in talking about it with my friend a couple months ago, probably if this very same film was made today, it couldn't be made with Tom Hanks. Now, we could debate on whether that would be wrong or right, but in today's time, it would definitely be wrong. And I would completely understand and completely support authentic casting. There's another film that I love. I can't remember the name of it, but it stars William H. Macy, and he played a man with CP. He's able to walk, but he played a man who was a door-to-door salesman, and he sold vacuum cleaners. I love this film. William H. Macy, in my opinion, has CP down, and I love the film. It was a made-for-TV movie, and I believe it came on TNT. So those are my thoughts on authentic diversity casting. I'm AJ Ajani Murray, and I'm an actor. Follow me if you like.